Why listen to this guy? I want to share 3 quick stories that make up who I am today. Just like most of us, my struggle started in middle school. I struggled with self-confidence, my identity, who I was, and just suffered in school. Long story short, I moved schools and I was in way over my head. I got into classes that were 2 grade levels above what I normally should have been in, and it was really hard. And since I went to a different school, I had to get up every day at 4 a.m. and go and work out with one of my coaches at 5 a.m. at the school. And then I walked to middle school, and then after school, I had football practice, and my dad was a coach, so I had to stay even longer than all the other kids, like an extra hour long. And I would go home and I would do homework till like 10 p.m. or midnight, and I would get up at 4 a.m. again. So it was just a cycle of like, ugh, this sucks. I don't really know what I'm doing. And one night it really got to me, and I just broke down. I started crying, and I didn't know what to do. So my brother comes to me, and I'm the oldest of 5 boys. So all of these boys are looking up to me to be the example, to be the tough guy. And he comes into my room and he sees that I'm crying, and that's not normal. Like, big brother shouldn't be crying. So he goes up, he grabs my dad, and when my dad comes down, I just am doing my homework. It's like 1 a.m, and I was just sobbing because I didn't know how to handle everything. Friends, school, football, everything was just so overwhelming. And my dad looked at me and he gave me this advice, and this is something that I have held with me my entire life. He looked at me and he says, "What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to be great?" And that line changed my life, because we had a discussion of like, hey, if you want to be good at football, you're going to have to sacrifice some social life. If you want to be great at school, you might have to sacrifice some sleep. So like, what do you want, and what are you willing to sacrifice in order to achieve that? So I had to change literally everything. My nutrition was terrible. My social life was bad. And in fact, my nutrition was so bad that I was even offered to take 1 bite of steak for $1,000. And I said no, because I had such a poor diet. I would eat literally peanut butter and honey sandwiches because I didn't like jelly. I wouldn't eat fruit. Just to exaggerate, like, I don't know how I'm alive right now. The first piece of meat I ever made was my dad made me eat a Lunchable. And it was one of those turkey, cheese, and crackers. So I had 3 crackers, 3 cheeses, and 1 slice of turkey. And that's like the first protein I ever got. And I just knew that I had to do that, because in order to be good at football, I had to sacrifice something. So that's my side of it. And that's when my fitness story had really launched. And then I got super into fitness, super into sports, and I focused on my diet, and all of that side of my physiology ended up taking hold. So that's the first story. Second story was, this is actually the worst trial that I had ever been through. I was dishonorably sent home from a Christian mission for various reasons. And without getting super into the details, after I was sent home, it's supposed to be a 2-year mission. I was out for 10 months, so I was almost halfway there, and I got dishonorably sent home. So I lost my purpose. I lost my passion. I didn't know what I was doing. Again, I lost who I was. My identity was taken away from me. And my suffering and this trial ended up causing other people suffering as well. And it was just a trial of faith. And it was really, really hard. I ended up being home for about 5 months. And during that time, a lot of miracles happened. And I learned more about myself in those 5 months than I did during my entire mission. Luckily, I was able to go back out and I was able to finish honorably. But that trial was just so hard. And during that time is when I really, really fell in love with psychology and decided to put my love for sports and fitness and psychology into one passion. And that's what led me to studying performance psychology and becoming the MindFit mentor who I am today. The third story is that recently, over the last couple of years, I have lost deep and meaningful love in my life. I've been almost engaged twice. My first love left me for another man, and the second left me for her mission to go and chase what she was doing. And throughout these trials, I suffered loneliness, depression, lack of will, again, not knowing who I was, not knowing my identity, because it seemed to have just been taken away from me. And during that specific trial, I was recruited to door-to-door sales, and that kept my fire burning for personal growth and development. I started studying books and getting super into how can I better myself and become the best version of Daniel. I was also studying psychology and exercise physiology, and everything was just culminating to becoming the man I am today. And throughout each of these, I have chosen to let my trials make me better and not bitter. I have since studied hundreds of books. I'll show you my list of everything that I finished. I've meditated for over 10,000 hours, and I've coached hundreds of clients to live happier and healthier lives while pursuing their perspective passion. My life philosophy has been boiled down to life is passion. This comes from a Buddhist philosophy that life is suffering. The root word for suffer is passion, or vice versa. The root word for passion is to suffer. So to have compassion on somebody is to suffer with them. Or you think of the passion of Christ, which is the suffering of Christ. So I took that word of life is suffering and just switched it to life is passion. And thus, to suffer is to have passion. And you will suffer in the pursuit of greatness. And whatever your dreams are, whatever you have in your head and your heart, ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to make them a reality, to make my passion come true? Over the next lessons, I'll be sharing with you exactly how you can apply science-based, tried and tested methodologies to completely transform your life, find your self-identity, find your philosophy to help you get into better shape, feel happier, healthier, and live your dream life. Are you ready? Lesson 2 is waiting.